So we're going to look a little deeper at this hexagram pairing, hexagrams 9 and 10 in the I Ching. And I'll start by just giving a little bit about each of these. So with hexagram 9, we have that air element on the top and the heaven element below. The general activity of this hexagram is sort of a restraining activity. So we have this description that dense clouds form, but there's no rain yet. And so that sort of accumulating, small accumulating is another translation that's used for the title of this hexagram. And so that idea of taming comes into play as well. I believe tamer is another word that has been used as the title for this hexagram. This sort of gentle holding, that is that rain cloud building up, and it's holding water and more and more and more water. And it's got a lot of power to hold and keep accumulating. But it's sort of a gentle power. I mean, the cloud, it's a cloud. So this gentle expression of powerfulness is really what I think of. I think of jujitsu, sort of that idea that you don't need strength, brute strength, to overpower your opponent. So the kind of strength here is that same, comes from the same sort of concept. Other names that have been used for this are gathering ghosts. We talked about taming and accumulating and nourishing, also nurturing of the smallest thing. It's a long title, but has a very good, it adds good meaning to what this is about, because there's that image of the rain cloud and it's not raining yet. And so when I think about this hexagram and the advice it's giving, if I pull it for a question, I think, what does it mean to pray for rain? Like, that is the nature of the action that should be taken in whatever the situation is. And whenever you're praying for rain, you are making space for something to grow. There's this kind of waiting, pregnant waiting quality to that. And I know from my readings that rain rituals are commonly associated with this hexagram just for that exact reason. That whole idea of the image here is of a cloud that's building up to rain on something. And then with hexagram 10, we have the downpour of the water. It's a river. So if you think we're at the top of a mountain in the stratosphere, we got that rain cloud at the top, and when it comes down, it all comes down in a river right down the mountain, right? The title for hexagram 10, which is water below heaven, the title is stepping or treading. It's also sometimes called following the tiger down the mountain. So I know that the lighting here is a little weird. And so, like, we're not just going down a mountain, we're following a tiger down a mountain who, might maul us if we're not too careful. And that tiger is actually, that's the animal force here that represents that heaven element. It is wild. Like, the tiger is a primal beast, but a very wise beast. And if we're on this jungle covered mountain with a river running down it, who knows the way through that better than the tiger? So we follow them, we learn from them. There is another mountain rite associated with this hexagram, which is considered sort of the Feng Shan, which is a mountain rite that emperors would carry out to sort of establish a mandate of heaven, that they are in flow with the Tao. And so there's a humility needed to choose to decide you're worthy. You have to, like, humbly decide somehow that you're worthy to carry out this ritual that gives you the mandate of heaven, in the same way that you would humbly follow a tiger. And so what I think these kind of mean together with the idea of the air channeling through heaven and then flowing out and down the mountain through the river, right? With these elements that we talked about in the last video, is that this is sort of like the attitude of embarking on a spiritual journey. So with this hexagram here, we're kind of at the top of the mountain. We're being impregnated, right? This rain cloud is getting very pregnant. And then we're carrying our baby down the mountain here. It's real hard to be pregnant without walking down a mountain and following a tiger. But that idea of that careful treading and that nurturing, protective quality, that is maybe the advice here of how you carry your spiritual insight back into the world, is with that kind of prudence, right? I think is a good word for that.